Lego. Oh.
It's Too T3rpd.
All right. Question number 1. You freestyle?
Hell no. I need to be real before I embarrass myself.
Hey. The way you was looking, I thought you knew what was coming. I was like, oh shit, he about to hit some shit. Hold on.
Oh man, I love music. I used to be up in the studio helping people freaking market their music a long time ago. So, but I am no musician.
Not only are you into cannabis, you're an A&R too.
A very unofficial A&R. Yeah, did it a few times for some of the homeboys a long time ago.
Damn.
I liked it.
Marketing connoisseur kind of overlaps into both things.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, you was the weed man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it broke down. Yeah.
The plug.
Yep. He's the weed man. He's the weed man for the artist. It all makes sense. Yep. You see how I picked that up that quick?
That was quick.
Hey, you know, that's shout out to the real A&Rs. That's a real A&R right there.
100.
That's who creates a musical genius. It's the weed man.
That's right.
Cause let's all be honest, that's where all the creativity comes from. Y'all already know. But let's get this motherfucker started. It's lit already. See, I like this. I like the way this is going. I like this energy. This is some good vibes.
Oh yeah.
Y'all already know. This is a Too T3rpd podcast. This your boy Donovan, aka Mr. You knew what it was when you signed up. You already know. Y'all heard the boy already, but go ahead and introduce yourself, boy.
It's Slump. SLUM Big P. We ain't no chump out here. Slump ain't no chump.
Wait, how many P's though?
Oh, it's about like 3.
He triple P certified.
I don't know what that means, but if I'm certified, I'm certified. You know what I'm saying?
Just
That's right.
Well, all right, we're gonna have to work on it. You might have lost your certification just off of that. See, you should.
Yo, it's still the nickname is still a work in progress. The AKA is a work in progress.
Yeah. You might have to earn your P's now. You might.
I gotta earn the P's back. That's crazy.
I tried to give you triple P, and then you was like, wait, what is that? And I was like,
You're uncertain.
Yeah, see, you that's the first letter. That's the first rule of having a P. In case I could guess it, it's just gotta. So that's why I said now you gotta earn the triples now. You have 1 P.
Alright, bruh.
Hey man, don't be mad at me. You don't.
No. I'm not mad. I'm chilling.
Y'all crazy.
Hey, this how it go, you know. It's Too T3rpd. You never know what could happen. But y'all already know. Okay, so we got somebody that's new to the Too T3rpd studio, but he's definitely not new to the cannabis industry. He's had multiple years of experience, grown all over the country. Hell, grown all over the world, as a matter of fact. Let's get it already correct. Then done this cannabis thing in multiple countries. All right, but he doing it right now at one of the top facilities in the state right now. In the state.
100. Absolutely.
Right. Hell yeah.
People got to pay attention.
That's right. Give it up for the homie Tony, aka Southern Roots Genetics. Oh, hold on. Oh. There we go. Yeah.
Def happy to be here.
You know, I had to give him a second to. They had to hold their applause just for a second. You know, we don't like to just.
That's okay. Moment of silence. It was respectful.
I don't want to bombard, I don't want to bombard our guests, with just the crowd like that. I like to ease them into it,
Absolutely. It can be overwhelming.
Exactly.
This is a very, very, very nice studio.
Thank you. We try hard around here. Hell yeah. But how you been today?
Oh, very good. Long day of work, but still ready to go,
Hell yeah.
Heck yeah.
So what would you say is your average day at work right now?
So average day at work, my days sort of start by watering plants, checking plants, making sure everything's working, because after even with automation and in these high quality facilities, things happen. Mm-hmm. So first thing in the morning, in the afternoon, and at the end of the day, I'm doing a basic check of the room, making sure things are good. But I'm overseeing the mother rooms at Camp Cannabis right now.
Hell
both
yeah.
the backstock and the production mother room.
Really? Okay.
So backstock being our entire library of genetics.
Right.
and then the production side being the moms that we're cutting from that will eventually go to flower.
Right.
So, yeah, so it's a lot of responsibility, but I love it.
So, quick question right off the bat.
Yeah.
How do you decide which ones go onto the production line?
So that one, it is on a scheduled basis. Our head of cultivation, Reed Porter, has a good mind about that sort of stuff. But I will say that he does come to us, and when we have new flavors that we're playing with or potentially going to release to market, he's gauging our head on, what have you liked thus far in the grow? What's smelling great on the stem rub? Like, what do you think has potential? So our input's valid there, but we do have it planned for the most part ahead of time.
Okay. So how far out would you say you all have your plans for? Because I know, like, with the average grower, they usually say you need to have about, 3 harvests in?
For sure.
So what would it be for a large cultivation scale?
For large-scale cultivation, they're planning sometimes a whole year in advance.
Really?
Yeah, it can be a long time. And again, as things change or new genetics are on the horizon, we mix it up and we might, change our plan just a little bit to make room for those new genetics. But yeah, it's largely a planned process, and that's more often than not just to make sure that we have plants that are in the room that grow in a similar way so that we can run the room one way and know that multiple strains are going to grow well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. So, how do you all decide about new strains and whatnot? Like, how to start expanding that library? Because I'm sure you already have an expansive library, but I'm sure you, like, as going through time, you realize, okay, some of the ones that we thought we wanted to put out in production, they really don't grow as well as we thought. So, we throw something out. How do you decide what comes in new?
100%. So it's a combination of things. I would say it's both through that trial and error process that we are figuring out, do we need something else, number one, in the first place, or does everything bang? Because sometimes as we get new pushes of genetics, everything bangs.
Exactly.
But there are other times where we have to pick and choose what works and then try to supplement from there. But whenever we're doing that, we're considering the top breeders out there, your Cookies, your Grandiflora, your Sea Junkie, your all the big names, right?
That's what's
So it is really on a need basis because right now we have a really banging lineup of genetics. So though we're in a slight trial mode with some genetics, we have a really good lineup already. So not actively sourcing a ton, I would say, at the moment.
what's up.
But yeah, we're running through trials on, I would say, upwards of 50 strains.
Okay. Any homegrown genetic shit? Like any in-house genetics?
Negative. Nothing from Missouri that was like bred in Missouri, you know what I mean?
Okay.
But really a lot of bangers. Wish I could slip some of the names, but I'm gonna behave and not do that.
Hold that on lock. I understand.
We have so much on the horizon that people should be excited about.
Hell yeah.
So if you're not, pay attention to Camp Cannabis for real, because we have heat and I don't play when it comes to growing. So
hey, that's right. Let them know.
Mic drop.
Hey, let them know. You ain't playing around here. So let's get started with those early cannabis origins. Let's get started with how you got into cannabis, like your first smoking experience, all of that.
Awesome. So I'm originally from Houston, Texas. Yeah, I moved to Missouri in like 2016, but a lot of my childhood was spent there and young adulthood.
Okay.
Grew up in a pretty traditional conservative family, so cannabis really wasn't a thing.
You played football?
Played basketball.
Okay.
Yep. So
okay. I knew it was either or.
Yeah, was an athlete, so cannabis wasn't even a thought.
Okay.
I had a negative view of those who use cannabis because of the DARE program and things that I went through as a child, which, I'm all for DARE when it comes to substances that are harmful. I think anybody who's sane is, you know, like we don't want to be like pushing things that are harmful, especially to children.
That's a fact.
Again, I think cannabis should be out of that conversation. So went on to confuse me and a lot of people I knew. But by the time I was 15, 16 years old, I took like a health class in high school. And they actually gave everybody in the class a project, but it was to research a certain substance.
Yeah.
And I was given LSD and cannabis, and I was like, this is really weird for me right now that you're like making me do this for classwork. Because like what is the point even? Isn't cannabis like, doesn't it, you know, do a bunch of negative things to you, your mind and your body? But as I started to research, that was really like sort of the inception of my mind opening on cannabis. I was like, oh, it's beneficial to people, and not only is it just like on a minor level beneficial, but it can be really beneficial in terms of healing people who have serious ailments like cancer, epilepsy, all kinds of stuff. So that sort of got me interested, and as my homies in high school were exploring, I didn't first smoke, you know, when they started. I was kind of hesitant because, again, that's just my upbringing was not like that.
Yeah.
So but as I started to just be around weed and be around my homies who were smoking, I was like, man, it smells strong, but like, and like my homies are just like giggling and they're hungry and freaking sleepy, like, and that's it.
I'm trying to feel that too.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, this is not what it was made out to be. So from that point, I got a little curious. So by the time I was 16, I tried cannabis for the first time, and it was really overwhelming my first time. So it was a few years, probably until I was 19 and like out of high school, before I was like really chain smoking every day. But it
That's
got
still
to that.
young though.
It got to that though. Like I was when I started to smoke again, first time overwhelming. But
Well, hold on, though.
Yeah,
Hold on. Cause you tried to make it seem like you was really all about that dirt. You did not give a damn about no dirt. If you smoking that young, what you talking about, man?
I cared about Dare a lot longer than my homeboys did. That's all I'm gonna say.
Fair enough.
So basically,
I was behaving.
it worked long enough.
Yeah, I swear.
Yeah, like, you trying to make it seem like I'm thinking you about to say you started like around when I started like your 20s or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Nah, you was still hella young when you started smoking.
I was a little kid at this point.
You better say like, you know, when I grew up and I was an adult, you know, I was thinking like, that's what you talking about. You at 15 talking about, yeah, fuck it, you know, hey, I'll try this shit.
Yeah, I might be lifting myself up a little too much. But.
Nah, that's hella funny. That's hella funny, yo.
But yeah, it was awesome. It was really a mind-opening experience for me. I didn't know that I even suffered from minor stuff like anxiety occasionally, and I was like, whoa, this thing, it chills me out. And so for that reason alone, I felt like I could sort of manage my own internal thoughts a little bit better. And yeah, for a long time, I was using cannabis because, you know, of the health benefits of my own experiences.
Did it help with school at all?
So by the time that I had started cannabis, I was like already out of college.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, no formal education on me except for like a couple hours here and there, but it is what it is.
I feel you.
Yeah, not the only way to learn.
That's right.
But yeah, so around the time of me being 19, 20, you know, just growing into a young man, I was like really on fire for this stuff. I couldn't get enough cannabis. I was like, there's all these flavors, there's all these different aspects that it, you know, it can look different, it can grow different. And in Texas, there's not people just, you know, it wasn't free with it at that time. That was like 2012, I guess, when I was like 18. So yeah, it was really just like a love on the consumption side and seeing how it affected me and would affect others around me that really got me in it. But fast forward and just a little bit into my own personal journey with cannabis, 5 years ago, I broke my neck.
Oh shit.
Yeah. It was that was another life-changing experience, sort of on the negative side for my physical body, but you know, being in the hospital with all that pain, being given 5 different medications, some of them just medicines to counter the other medicines. I was like, babe, the second I get out of this place, like, have my bong in the truck and have the bowl loaded, because that's what's going to actually help me.
Hell yeah.
So after I left the hospital, I was cannabis only from the day I left the hospital. So I had a neck brace and like a little cane and such, but like I would hobble out to my whip and hit the bong as needed to handle my pain. And it's truly an amazing medicine for people with spinal cord injuries, because most of our receptors for THC are in our spine. So I was really amazed at how much of a medicine just the cannabinoid THC alone was for me. But when you have a more broad terpene profile, of course, it gets even better. So, right. Yeah, my love and appreciation for cannabis as like an analgesic, as a pain reliever, it even grew, more from there. But yeah, can't say enough good things about this plant. It's amazing.
Hell yeah. So did you dabble with any of the heavier other than flower, like the RSO or anything like that?
So for my pain, it was pretty much, let's see, this was 2018 roughly. So Missouri had just voted the measure for medical to legalize. So at this time it was still black market sourcing, right? Flower. But I also knew about the benefits of topicals, and Fresh Time local natural farmers market. They have the now they have a huge selection, but they had the Stanley Brothers, like Charlotte's Web, topical cream, and I would use sort of a combo of those two things: flower for like a systemic effect, and then topical for a localized effect to kind of deal with like my neck pain right there, because it hurts even till today. But with cannabis, I genuinely have like a better quality of life, because it's a mood uplifter. When you're in pain, nobody's feeling good, and that's not good vibes for anybody.
That's a fact. That is a fit.
So yeah, it's been amazing on the level of helping me there. And really, since I was a kid in Texas and learning about new flavors and that all these flavors were even possible, I was like, it would be so dope one day to make medicine for people, like with my own hands, like grow the plant, but to take it even a step further, to actually create the flavors, the unique flavors that like are unique to me, and that could help people who maybe don't have that perfect medicine yet. Because sometimes with cannabis, you need to maybe mix a few different flower varieties to get your feel, or a few different products to get your feel. But it's always nice when you find that flower that really hits. That's all you need, just like a couple hits, and you're like, wow, this is perfect for me.
That's a fact.
So it's been my passion for a minute to get into growing, into breeding, and that eventually came to fruition for me. And it was early 2021 when I started with Heya.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Heck yeah.
I like that. And then I know you had your stint there.
Yeah.
But now you're currently at camp, correct?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Camp Cannabis, dope place to work.
Hell yeah.
Such cool people, great genetics. Yeah, and what's huge for me after being in the cannabis industry for a little bit now is that the leadership on the cultivation side has their head on straight. So I really appreciate my director of cultivation, Reed, for just being awesome, being knowledgeable and willing to share that knowledge with his staff. So
that's what's up.
Yeah.
I love that.
Heck yeah. Because I've been at places where people aren't apt to share info, and you can ask other growers, but sharing info even amongst coworkers was taboo. Nobody's trying to give anybody like, an edge, because everybody's worried like you might take my spot or whatever, and people are really honestly insecure in this space. But what's real is just lifting other people up, giving people the knowledge you have so that you're better collectively. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm not down with all that keeping info, trying to be, suppress others.
Yeah.
I'm not with it.
Yeah, I like that. Go ahead.
Nah, I definitely want you to speak to that because there's something interesting about the cannabis culture that I'm starting to realize now. Personally, is there's a lot of gatekeeping. There's a lot of, hey, if you don't know such and such, or I haven't seen you around in this room, or I haven't seen you associated with such and such, or
100.
You don't have your credentials in this field, we're not letting you in. Like, even to simply work at a dispensary.
It can be as simple as, hey, I don't like you. I
Yeah.
don't like how you look.
Yeah.
It can be that rude with it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And that's the harsh truth. But what I have noticed again is it's just pride manifested in this industry. It's people's pride and insecurities coming to the forefront. We all love cannabis, but we can't be threatened by each other because the only way we move forward in this industry is by lifting each other up. And as part of the reason I started Southern Roots Genetics was I wanted to give people education that I could not readily find when I was in Texas or early on and growing. And I know that's how things accelerate. That's how we have, people stepping on the shoulders of giants and being better in the future. Yeah. But it's an epidemic in cannabis, and I would say it's most concentrated amongst growers, though it does stem to the dispensary, the manufacturing level, even on the black market side, and nobody's trying to see you win sometimes. Yeah. So,
no, I definitely hear that.
Yeah,
that's facts right there.
I'm over here just sitting with the joint in my hand.
No, you Gucci. Shit, pass that over to Slump too.
Yeah.
Hey. He'll join in on the festivities.
I appreciate it.
Come on now, it's Too T3rpd.
Yes, sir. Speaking of which.
What you talking about, hitting a dab?
Ooh.
If you're up for it.
Or
you want to hold off on that?
I'm going to hold off. I'm gonna stick with what Tony done brought so far.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the last little bit.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah.
Now that we talked about your commercial experience, let's talk about some of your personal growing experience. Let's talk about some of the first times that you grew.
Yeah. So first time that I grew cannabis was probably back in 2017, 2018, because again, as I had this passion and want to get into it, I was like, I need to do anything I can. At first, I started a little bit earlier than that, growing vegetables, herbs, all kinds of stuff like that. And I did microgreens a little bit as well. You can actually just set it there. It's all good. I sold microgreens to local St. Louis businesses, actually, but I just wanted to get immersed in growing. Started that probably in 2015, 2016, then leading into that 2017, 18 period is when I was like, man, I need to get my hand on some seeds and just do it. So I was able to source some packs locally from it's this semi-local breeder to Missouri. I don't know if you know him, Brother Mendel or whatever.
I've heard of him.
Yeah. Yeah, so there are a few varieties I got from him. I was seeing in the Facebook groups and stuff like that. I was like, that looks fire. So spent some money on those seeds, got them, grew them. And at first, just out of sheer safety for my family and I was freaking vegging it out and really getting hella versed on the veg side. I was not trying to learn about, deal with smells at first. But after breaking my neck later into 2018, I was like, I'm just going to go all in on learning how to grow. So I got into, learning about filtration systems and, the more advanced stuff to keep your grow tight and make sure nobody's smelling what you got going on. So it started with, growing seed plants and not knowing what I was doing, and that evolved into learning how to clone and scale things, building my own grow tent with just panda film and building kind of a low budget setup. Now it's evolved into much higher quality LEDs, automated watering, the whole 9 yards. So, yeah, so it was a while ago when I did my first plant. It was one of the Brother Mendels. I think it was, what was that thing? Breakfast in Paris. That's what it was called. It had some like orange and blueberry terps to it, a little bit of baked goods. It was dope.
Man, that sound like, I don't know, that sound romantic as hell. Yeah.
Sounds like a scone. Sounds like a scone, bro.
Oh yeah, it was delicious. And I think one of my favorite plants that was right after that, I got my hands on a Wi-Fi OG, which was just it was pure stink. It was great. Yeah, it was. And that's what really serves me. My daily driver for weed is like stuff that is going to be a little bit more sedative and heavy. Like I need that during the day for my pain to just manage.
Yeah.
So things that are like, again, your OGs, your peppery carryoff types, spicy things. Like there's a real spectrum with terpenes, you know, like that one terpene can smell like so many different things depending on how much of it's there and what else is mixing with. But yeah, so that evolved into me learning about the prominent breeders that were outside of Missouri, the seed junkies, the compounds, you know, the heavy hitters in the industry.
Right.
And through that, I was able to source some really dope genetics as well, just buying through seed banks online. And after I had my little stint at Heya, fast forward in you know, however many years, I was really immersed in the genetic game and was sourcing some serious genetics from people like Surfer Seeds out in Oregon. They had this variety called Point Break, which is like, it's a Trop Cookies to Trophy Wife. So it's got a lot of color, it's got a lot of flavor. It's basically like a lavender, floral, peppery type of weed. It's like the most floral type I've smelled. I'm like, damn, that smells like flowers.
Okay.
It's crazy, but yeah, so my journey with weed has really been, it's been long. It's been through a lot of like trial and errors on my own, you know what I mean? And I think anybody who's been through that, you know, you want to turn around and just give that to someone else, which is like, that's sort of where my heart's at about it. Like whether it's my coworkers, people who hit me up randomly online, like, and they're like, hey, can you help me fix this? I'm like, absolutely. Let me try.
Hell yeah.
Let me see what I can do.
Yeah.
So.
And you've done that on multiple levels too. This isn't the first form of media that you've been on, correct?
100%. Yeah. Yeah. So speaking to like the music and stuff,
not even. I know you're on you're on another YouTube.
Oh, now I see what you're saying. My bad.
No, you good.
Yeah. So I've been doing some talks with Future Cannabis Project. I shared a pretty interesting study on LinkedIn not too long ago about photoperiodism and basically how long your lights are on or off and how that's going to affect your plants, right? And they're like, hey, you want to come and talk about this? So made a little presentation, and yeah, we had a really dope talk. It was, you know, we were able to basically teach people that with a longer light cycle, you're basically able to delay things in the grow room if you want. With a shorter light cycle, you can make things quicker. It can also change how your bud looks. Like with a longer photo period, you might see longer flowers, whereas with a shorter photo period, you really see them compact more so.
Right.
But yeah, we went through a few different things that I thought the industry really needed to hear, which was that the photoperiodism study, so that people had a better understanding of how to use their light as a tool. But then additionally, we had a talk recently on phytohormones, which that's like a whole can of worms in and of itself. But what phytohormones are is like they are plant-created hormones. Okay. And there's a bunch of them, but 5 main ones. And we went over that in the video. Auxin is the first one, which this one effectively is in the tips of the new growth, and whether that's like a new shoot or a root, it's in the tips there. There's cytokinins, gibberellins, abscisic acid, and I see a lot of people, struggling in their grow. Some of them know they're struggling, some of them don't.
Right.
And this talk really opened a lot of people's eyes because, at least for the hormone ABA or abscisic acid, this is a hormone that the plant releases when it's stressed. And when it does that, it basically coats the tiny pores that are underneath the leaf where the plant is releasing water vapor through, because it's like, I need to preserve the water that I have in me. I don't know if I'm about to die or not because the environment outside is stressful. So I was showing growers, like, this is what it looks like. If you see this, you're stressing them out. we gotta do some different things here.
Got a lot of responses.
Yeah, and it's really it's been fun talking with Future Cannabis Project and other entities who are excited about just giving growers good information.
Hell yeah.
I think that there's a lot of awesome growers in St. Louis, and there's good informational stuff that is out there, but I'd really like to help where I can too in the future. And basically I'll be starting to lay out some free and some paid classes where we can help growers like hands-on, because a lot of my stuff has been online or with clients who are countrywide, worldwide, but looking to do some like in-person
Hell yeah.
workshops soon.
That's hard.
Yeah.
And honestly, a lot. Like the few things that you talked about so far, some of this stuff is kind of new.
Oh yeah.
That we haven't really even talked about on Too T3rpd yet so far.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, so that's been dope.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I mean, cannabis is expansive, and everybody wants the best herb. It's complex to get there. It doesn't matter if you're doing organics or you're feeding synthetic fertilizer, what media you're growing in.
You're right.
It doesn't matter. Like, it is a true like art and a science to grow cannabis well.
That is a fact.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
So there's a lot of different like little camps in cannabis cultivation, the organics only crowd, or synthetics only, or craft versus big scale. But I think that personally the reality of the matter is that there's no like one perfect way to do things.
Exactly.
I've tasted fireweed from what many different scenarios: sun grown, light dep, indoor, grown in cocoa, grown in rock wool. It doesn't matter what it's grown in. If you know how to work that system, you're going to grow some good weed.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is correct.
So a lot of people like to project how they can't grow in a certain system, and they're like, oh, no, that one's not good. You shouldn't grow in that one. You can grow in whatever you want.
Exactly.
You can grow in whatever you want. You just have to become a master of your craft.
That's a fact. Me personally, I'm like the only way that I've grown so far is in living soil. So like that's what I prefer. But like I said, everybody teaches their own, because like I know for me, like I understand the process of growing in living soil is mad complex, but that's why I don't have it set up yet, because like it's one of those things of like you were saying, like everybody talks about how to start or how to do it and all of that, but it's like if you really have a way that you want to do it, don't stray away from what it is that you want to do. Like however you want to do it, like legit do that.
Absolutely.
And like don't let anybody try to tell you like, you can start out small and all that. You can, but if that's not what you really want to do, because a lot of that starting small and all of that, like that's not necessarily teaching me how to grow the best. And I think that's where like, you might get people discouraged at, because that's where they really want to go towards. But if that's not necessarily where you go ahead and set them up to do right off the bat, that might discourage them a little bit more.
100%. Yeah, I think everything in life is either a blessing or a lesson. So if you're having a hard time with something, you just got to have a good attitude about it, and that's how you make headway. It's never those who are, being ungrateful who get blessed.
Exactly. like we were talking about the doors before, and like I feel like one of those things about even like give the people the information on the tools. Let them know all the tools that really actually required to do it. So then they can even decide if that's what they want to do or not. That's a big way to help somebody. Like you might even be able to help them like not even start before they get started. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
They could either be that thing that'll be like, oh, okay, now I know exactly what I want to do with this, or it could be like, all right, man, this is really complex. Because either way it goes, there is no shortcut to this.
Absolutely
I think
not.
that's the part that people get confused. Like you were saying, no matter how you grow, it's got to be done the right way.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of people will look at, well, if I grow this way, then I might have to take, that might take this long, or this won't take that long. Like, nah, if you're actually doing it right, like, no matter which way you do it, you got to put some time and you got to put some effort and work into it.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, all about giving people the information ahead of time, because the better, platform that you start out with, the better, in my opinion, to say it simply. Just have a lot of, mistakes that I can think about that I made, and I'm like, damn, if people can avoid that because they understand how to use pH, or how to use, what nutrient concentration, if they know all these things, these fundamentals, then you're able to, what I call, conscious grow. You can consciously grow. Outside of, that, a lot of it is guesswork that people are having, and I think it's much better to know what you're doing. It helps me literally direct the flow of plant growth. Mm-hmm. Like at Heya, I was able to achieve basically within the top 1% of like yield metrics in the whole country, which is like 5 pounds of dry weight a light, which is a ton. And the industry standard was basically anywhere from 2 to 3 pounds a light, but technology is advanced, information and growing systems have advanced. So that in tandem with genetics and an in-tune grower, I mean, you're able to see really stupid results. And that's what everybody wants at home. You want to be able to just like have your run, have it sustain you. And like, I think that's where a lot of people are falling short. A lot of people have great terps on their stuff, but maybe they're not able to keep their supply up. But this comes with learning, just learning the fundamentals.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't mean to cut you short, but right now we got to take a break real quick. And when we come back, I actually want to talk about some tips for new growers and whatnot.
Bet.
All right.
Let's get it.
Let's go. And we're back. What up, y'all? What up? We had a nice little dab break, smoke break. We back in the binning. All right, so the last thing we were talking about a little bit of growing tips. I think we were going to tap into some beginners growing tips.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So give us a couple.
Yeah, so as far as some beginners grower tips, I think one thing that people should learn about first is pH. So pH stands for potential hydrogen, and what it really means to you is that it's basically how well your plants are going to uptake nutrients. Depending on what kind of growing media you're working with, you want to use a different pH to have the best nutrient uptake. So for soil systems, it's going to be a higher pH. For your hydro systems, for things like rock wool, cocoa, you're going to go with a lower pH usually. And reason being is because in a soil system, you're going to have a lot more, available nutrient-rich system as opposed to rock wool, which is it's inert, it's sterile, there's no nutrition in there.
Right.
And even cocoa, there's very, very minor amounts of magnesium, sodium, potassium in there, but it's not complete nutrition. So that's why with those hydro systems, we want to go with a lower pH, like 5.7 to 5.9. That's really been my sweet spot there.
Okay.
And yeah, for your soil systems, a touch higher.
Yeah, about 6.5, right?
100%, around 6.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, all due to micronutrient availability, because at those lower pHs, that's where you're going to see the best uptake. So pH is huge for growers to look into. I encourage new growers to like that be one of the first spots you look at, because in the garden, as you have issues with your irrigation, what the first thing that's affected usually is your pH. So that will ultimately, it just starts this tumbleweed effect of problems, but if you know what's up with pH, you will know how to like balance your substrate if you have issues. So pH is huge. I would say that EC, or parts per million, which is like how strong your nutrients are, that's huge.
Okay.
Because if you're not feeding your plants enough, they're obviously not going to get big juicy buds like you want. And there's a bit of a misunderstanding, I'll say, even with people who are operating at the commercial level. I see growers basically starting out with a really, really low pH for babies, which in theory you're like, they're a smaller plant, they're probably going to need like a lot less nutrients. But really what it's all about is, based on the number of your nutrient concentration, that's going to determine how well nutrients are flowing in and out of those plant cells. So the higher the EC, the better for yield, but the harder it is for those nutrients to pass through the cell membranes. Even so, regardless of which EC you use, you really don't want to kind of go up and down with it too much.
Right.
My advice is to just keep your concentration the same until almost the tail end of flower, when we're not necessarily flushing, but we're starting to lower that, the amount of food we're giving it, because the plant's starting to shut down. But I see, I guess that sort of leads into the flushing, which is, there's a huge learning curve there. I mean, some people think flushing is like, okay, now I'm just going to give it RO. Now I'm going to give it just like less nutrients, but I sort of, recommend people don't go lower than 50% of what they were originally feeding. So if you're feeding like a 3.0 EC or 1500 parts per million, you don't want to go below like 750. And the reason is you're basically shocking your plants when you do that. Okay. If they were used to like handling a really high EC and then you just starve it, essentially, like you're giving it a lot of food its whole life, and then you're not giving it any food toward the end. A lot of people can see what looks like a pretty grow start to mold in the post-harvest because their cell walls are not very strong. If they were fed the proper nutrition, they would have the calcium to have strong cell walls and all the other nutrients they need to be strong. But I see a lot of growers just they really don't know what they're doing with nutrients, and that's okay. But starting with a baseline concentration is what you want from veg all the way through to the end of mid-flower. When you switch from veg to flower, you just want to switch the composition, not really the concentration. So like you're switching up the amount of minerals that are in there, right, to cater to flower a little bit more. But when it comes to flushing and finishing, you do want a little bit less nutrients. The plant's shutting down. You want less light intensity. Everything's starting to just kind of turn off, right? But you don't want them devoid of nutrients, or else you're going to see issues later, whether it's with product quality, shelf life, terps. Like you will see an issue manifest. So if you want to improve your shelf life, especially, like it's very important to make sure you are feeding enough all the way through. Okay. Yeah. So pH, feeding, flushing, those are all really 3 big points that beginners can focus on to like sort of build their grow game off.
Hell yeah. And then I feel like one of the biggest things that people have difficulty with, because yes, the process of actually growing is probably one of the hardest parts, but I feel like the hardest part is harvest and how you cure.
Ooh. This is great. So I have a big love for post-harvest, being that I managed Hea's post-harvest side. So it is equally, if not harder, to handle that bud after. It takes proper procedures when you're drying, when you're bucking it off the actual branch, when you're trimming it, curing it, the whole 9 yards. But my recommendation to growers is typically to do like a whole plant hang or a partial plant hang for the most easy process. if you're familiar with wet trimming, it makes the process of drying quicker, which is totally against how the plant wants to cure. The plant wants to like slowly cure and lose that water. And that typically makes for the best situation, because if you go too fast, you will literally like freeze the plant in time. And that like hay smell that plants can have in the dry room, you stop it right there if you have variable conditions in the dry room. So 60-60 is tried and true. It works. It's been said for a reason. But if you can't hit 60-60 and you're a few degrees off on either your temperature or your humidity, you just want to be an equal amount, equal and opposite off that value. So like if you can only hit 62 degrees Fahrenheit, go for 58% humidity. So you're like 2 percentage points down there.
Okay.
And that will help keep a balance with that cure process. So that's huge to start off. And again, doing the whole plant hang and the partial plant hang allows for a slow loss of moisture. So that's like right in alignment with how your plants want to lose moisture and properly cure. Beyond that, that process usually lasts 10 to 14 days, depending on the strain, because some varieties will hold more water, some varieties will hold less water. Like runts, for example, anything with some runts in it is going to hold on to hella water, and it's going to take time to cure. If you have, which I know you have a lot of runts out there, people listening.
For sure.
Take your time burping it, take your time, the whole process. So that's usually going to be like on the 14-day side. Whereas something like a Scooby Snacks that I grew at Heyo would be on the earlier side. That would finish more like on the 10-day, just because of how that nug is structured. It's naturally got a little bit more just like airiness to it, not dense, but just air travels throughout the flower cluster a little bit easier. But after that process, bucking it by hand is always the best. There's machines out there, but people who are using machines are more often than not commercial, as opposed to home guys. There are some home guys who do end up getting machine, trimmers and processors and all that. But yeah, most people who are using that are commercial guys who are sold on like a production model that was like, okay, you can have a low staff because we're going to really automate your system. You know what I'm saying? But it's not always what's best for the bud. It'll make consistent product come out of the other side of that machine, but what's best is that you just carefully trim it with scissors off of the branch itself, whether it's a partial plant or a whole plant hang you're doing. After that, I throw it in a dark bin. Usually, like if you're moving weight, it's a big 5-gallon, storage or more storage container. Way more than 5 gallons. That thing's like 15. But you're putting about like 5 pounds of cannabis in that. I'm down with dark bags like what's that company? Dang, it's escaping me right now. I'm a little terped.
Oh no, you good, bro.
But it's one of the companies that essentially like it's like a terp lock bag, right? It's just a dark anything that will like get rid of light, heat, and oxygen is going to be good. So I like to have the weed inside of a dark bag, inside of a dark storage container to like keep out any sort of light, because all those terps and cannabinoids, they start to degrade in the presence of those things.
Yeah, I know what bag you're talking about. I can't think of the name of it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm like, gosh dang. But those bags are great, and usually this is when the process of burping really begins, So burping can vary, but I sort of try to keep it simple when I make recommendations. So the varieties that will hold more water, you do like 2 10-minute burps a day,
right.
And then varieties that will easily lose water, just 1 15-minute burp. It's not too much, and that's regardless of container size. Doesn't matter if it's little jar, big container. Like, just fluff it up, let it air out a little bit. But you will notice with each variety, like as you open that bag, it's going to be really dank, right? after that 10 or 15-minute period, you will notice the smell start to decrease, and you're like, oh, that's, I'm starting to lose terps, basically.
Okay.
So that's your like cue, just with your own senses to sort of gauge, like, okay, this needs to go back on now. I'm not giving off excess moisture now. Now I'm giving off moisture and terps that I need to keep in there.
Okay.
So that's a crucial piece. I think that a lot of people are missing it on burping. And then additionally, it's hand trimming all day.
Hell yeah.
All
You
day.
already know.
Yeah.
Shit, you already know where the mug's at.
There you go.
Oh, damn.
Hand trimming. I mean, it gets you really intimate with each variety that you're growing.
Yeah.
It allows you to have the most careful finish. And regardless of the fact that, people who wet trim and believe in it, they say, well, my trichomes are more wet. They're going to stay on there. They're not going to fall off. But at the end of the day, a lot of people can't time how quick that process is for each strain. So, when you get to the hand-trimmed, dry-hung product, it's just almost always superior to that other method. So, yeah, it just allows you to really, I don't know, get the best expression of what you grew, because otherwise, if you use a machine, for example, you're getting a shaved-down version of what you made. It's honestly It hurts.
I agree. Like, honestly, I got those, but I really like the bonsai trimmers for real, for real.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's when you're doing some elite trimming right there.
Oh, yeah. Bonsai trimmers are dope.
Yup.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you get in there and getting the precision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it. And QA/QC was part of my job at Heya, like just overseeing the trim room, dry room, cure room, all that stuff. So I have like an eye for quality, and just after even just consulting operations other than Heya, and seeing the wet trim process, I'm like, there's no way nothing can touch this dry hung hand trim product.
Hell yeah.
That's the artisan way.
For sure.
For sure.
Hell yeah.
And beyond that, the last thing that people are missing is weed is like wine. Okay, so
speak on that.
Here's the big secret people are missing. When your cannabis is burping, you are getting it down to an optimal moisture content, right? And after you get to that sweet spot, which there is one, it's roughly like 12-13% moisture, maybe 11% for some varieties that might hold water, like that'll just stabilize them longer.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get to that sweet spot, you cap that weed and don't let it see the light of day unless you're gonna smoke it or use it, because that's really when that long-term magical cure happens. Because I've had some weed that is cured for 6 months, and it's the same variety that I've had, right after harvest or a month in, and it's so much more complex, a much better feel. So you got to cap it when it's right, or else you're losing terps.
That's a fact.
Almost every point in that post-harvest process, you got to be extra careful, or you'll be losing terps.
Yep, that's a fact. Okay, so let me ask a couple more questions real quick.
Yeah.
Let me get your top 3 rotation rules.
Ooh. Top 3 rotation rules. Don't get the blunt or the joint wet. Don't be doing that. That's been my pet peeve from day one.
I like
when
that.
I first started smoking, I was like, and it came back around in the rotation, I was like, hell no. Can't be doing that, bro. I don't want to. Yuck.
Yeah, I want to hit that
nasty,
shit,
bro.
Yeah, for real. There's a fit at.
So there's that. As far as rotation goes, I'm all down for giving people weed and letting people try weed and sharing weed, but don't be a mooch. Don't be coming around and never sharing and just smoking my weed. I don't like that.
You gotta put down.
Yeah, I got 5 on it. Come on. That's how I
there you
started.
go.
Man, yeah, those are 2 big ones, Frick. Let me see what we got for a third. Man, bring your best. Honestly. Like, I'm always trying to bring my best stuff to share with the homies.
Yep.
Don't be, that's the classic age-old story. Just bring your best. Don't keep what's best for you. Share what's best with others.
I agree.
Heck yeah, with the crew.
Yeah, I feel like what you put out is what you'll get back.
1,000,000%. You get what you get what you give.
Yep. That's a fit at. All right. So now you already know the best question of them all. You got a smoke session that you're getting ready to start. You got 5 people that's coming through. You get to choose your picking. Dead or alive, who you gonna pick?
Such a good question. Okay, so the first person I'm picking is a grower I really respect. He's like OG grower in my head. Kevin Jodry. He's he's been in the game basically since before we were born.
Okay.
Type stuff.
Hell yeah.
I just like to be around him would be dope to just absorb all the knowledge that he's gained in this industry with both moving stuff on the legal and illegal market and being a distinguished grower and respected grower. So Kevin's up there for me. It's really for me, I have like a lot of wishes to meet people who aren't here. So like a lot of these old school breeders, there was one who is really responsible for a lot of the classic old school varieties, Skunk Man Sam. That would be my second. But I need something light up in there as well, so I feel like I gotta have somebody funny around, you know what I'm saying? I probably like I don't know even like maybe I don't want to be generic and be like a Snoop or something, but so I'm not.
But no, that's just like
I would love to be around Burner and to pick his mind on not only his cannabis empire but marketing, generally speaking, because he's got an amazing marketing head, not just for his cannabis, but like he's continuing to fund his cannabis entity with merch, with apparel, and just his like cookies brand. Like all that stuff is so big now to where it's fueling like his cannabis growth. So Burner's someone I really, really respect and would love to pick his brain too. I'd probably be basic and say I love to get some Willie Nelson in there for tunes. I just vibe with some Willie sometimes.
Okay.
Like Willie for the smoke.
I like that.
And man, let's see a fifth. Oh man. For a fifth, I would probably like to go with another gentleman. I don't know if y'all know who he is, but another super old OG cannabis guy, Todd McCormick. He's been one who's been riding for the cannabis industry since before we were born. On advocacy.
I've heard of him.
Yeah. He runs Authentic Genetics and holds on to basically Ag Seco.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No,
he holds on to a lot of the OG stuff from old, and he's got a lot of good connections. That's where I sourced my Congolese from. Basically a farmer from the Congo connected with Mel Frank, and Mel Frank and Todd McCormick are collectively Ag Seco. So like when he got that seed, he ran it in LA and made his own population, and then they started to release that Congolese to the public. But that one's different. That one smells like some tropical fruit. It stretches real crazy. I just love these guys for how they've preserved some of these old school kinds, you know what I'm saying? Because without them and, making that effort to preserve, then we have nothing to dip back into when we want to refresh the gene pool and make something new.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Damn. Oh.
Yeah, so I had a question about like the preservation of like the old school genetics and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So can you describe, I guess, what is it like to preserve these old school genetics, like for the vaults and stuff like that? Like how do you select what goes into the vault, and how do you select when is it time to bring it back out?
Right. So I would say just as it starts, when it comes to like finding or having a variety that you want to keep for a long time, the only reason that we can know and enjoy things like the Blue Dreams, Jack Herrera's, all the OG kinds is because back in the day when people found that and they liked that, they said, I'm going to make an inbred line and I'm going to make sure that this is stable for the future so that when every time you pop it, it's going to come out consistent. What we have today in seed making, which is needed for the initial part of the process and valuable, is a lot of sort of unstable hybrids. So preservationists will look to inbreed their lines, make sure that there's stability there, and then once they've actually created those lines, people who keep for a long time will look to freezer tech or just keeping things in a very dry and temperature stable sort of condition. Okay. This is what the World Seed Bank in Svalbard is doing with like actual produce. They're keeping it in a really cold, dry, climate controlled location. So that's the goal with seeds is seeds are triggered to germinate when they're moist. If there's variance in their conditions, they might like try to germinate before you want them to and die. And there's just all kinds of conditions that can go awry and cause those seeds to not be good. But if you're shooting for cold, dry, and keeping that, you know, where you keep your seeds, that's how you keep them for 30, 40 plus years. Oh, wow. Yeah, these things last a long time. I have a variety from the 60s. I have a variety from the 70s. And you pop them and they come out like vigorous as if they were made this year. So, yeah, I think just like throughout the whole process, it's all about proper care, being in tune with what you're doing. Because if you're just doing, it's not conscious, right? Mm-hmm. You're just doing it. But I'm all about being aware of what I'm doing and trying to be deliberate and doing the best I can. So,
got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hell yeah, that's fire, yo.
Yeah.
I love that. Cause that's one of the things that I've been trying to do. As a matter of fact, I had family in town and I forgot to get them the seeds. I got a bunch stored away.
There's always the mail.
That is true. Matter of fact, I'm probably about to be on that.
I tell you what. I mean, earlier this year they said,
"Oh yeah, it's legal."
Seeds, yeah, it's totally legal to mail them. They fit within the definition of hemp, so it's a freedom.
Yeah, it's like I gotta go ahead and collect some addies. You're right. I ain't got no excuses. I've done it before, so shit.
Yeah, might as well.
Yep, that's a fit act. All right, how much time we got?
About 10 minutes.
But okay. Trying to think. Was there anything else we needed to cover?
There was one thing I still wanted to ask about.
What's up?
Cannabis in Thailand.
A very interesting subject.
So, I guess tell us a little bit about, I guess, the process of legalization that went on over there, and what does it look like now? Like, what does cannabis look like now in Thailand compared to here in the U.S.?
For sure. Well, cannabis in Thailand has taken off as of the last few years when it became fully legal to touch and have any part of the cannabis plant itself. So that means, you know, clones, veg plants, flowering plants, flower itself, all of that's legal. And Thailand had no restriction essentially on that. They're like, because it's legal, you can have hella plants. You can have hella weed. But, and you know, a lot has gone on with expanding that legal industry. There's even a cookies franchise there. I was able to work with one of the indoor grow operations there when I was at FOS. Yeah. And, you know, they have rapidly advanced is the way that I would describe it. They quickly went from legalization to embracing and accepting it within society. having these legal entities and people who are really making some good product. You'd be really surprised by some of the stuff they're pushing out of the dispensaries in Thailand. Not that everybody has got their game right, just like here in America, but man, they have stuff that competes out there.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and the main thing right now, though, is there's a little bit of political uncertainty as far as what's going to happen, because there was this rapid acceptance and legalization, but with a change in power, there's talks of it potentially being criminalized again, which is really so sad and honestly kind of crazy, because after it happened, I said, wow, they have the potential to be an Asian hub for cannabis, because Thailand is a huge travel destination. The thing right now is the state of Thailand cannabis is they are still moving full steam ahead, as if that's not going to happen. They're like, man, you let us have it. It's too late now.
That's beautiful.
They're fighting for it, right? So we will see what happens. Time tells all, but I have a feeling like the Thai people will fight for their rights when it comes to cannabis.
Word.
Hell yeah. That's a fit act.
Heck yeah.
I like that. Yeah, I feel like well, they probably that's probably a good note to end on, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we're doing good on time, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say, if anything, we got like a solid 5 minutes, 3 minutes left. If there's anything that
one more thing.
Of course, by all means.
I was saying, if y'all had like one more thing, do you have
okay.
a question?
I have one question.
Yeah.
If you had to choose one person that has never tried your genetics before, but this is the one instance in which they come to you and say, okay, I'm ready. What genetic are you going to choose? And who are you going to choose? It's a two-parter.
Okay. So what I would choose would be my own genetics, respectfully. And I would choose this variety. It's called Southern Comfort. So Southern Comfort was one of the first varieties I ever made. It is a combination of an old school variety, the Indiana bubblegum, with one of Exotic Genetic Mike's varieties, which is Southern Sugar. And the Southern Sugar is a Georgia pie to rainbow chip. Rainbow chip being like a Thin Mint Girl Scout cookies kind of feel, right? It's a heavy hitter on the mom or the receiver side. The Indiana bubblegum was the pollen donor, but this is a variety that has a really large footprint already in the U.S.
Hey, for all y'all that don't understand plant language, that's the baby daddy.
Oh, yeah. Pollen donor equals the baby daddy for sure. But this variety has really made some waves for me, and it's something I would put up with anybody else's genetics. Right now it's being trialed at a couple Missouri commercial operations. Nothing hitting the dispo yet, but fingers crossed for a Christmas dispo drop. We'll see what's up. So
I will
there's
be
that.
in line waiting.
But this variety, this combo itself is like, when you smell it, you're like, that smells like some Big League Chew or some Hubba Bubba right away. You get the true bubblegum from the pollen donor. That's what made that Indiana bubblegum famous back in the day, was people were like, damn, this smells like Bazooka Joe bubblegum or something. So there's that aspect to it, but behind it is this unique old school funk. And people have tried it in the flower form, a little bit of a harder extract in the shatter form. A couple guys pressing it right now, but so far the taste is translating from the flower to the extract, which I know is big time. That's what everybody wants to see. They want a more concentrated form of what that flower is. And he's like, I hit it out of the dab rig, it was great. When I hit it out of the puff cone, it was real great.
You already know how it goes.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah. And this thing's a yielder too, like with ease. Like
Really?
I'm talking low effort. It will yield you weight.
Oh.
Both of the parents were very branchy. And I was like, man, I hope these seeds come out where, you know, they end up holding up some weight for people who grow them. And that's been the case. So fingers crossed for a dispo drop later this year on that one. But currently it's in over half of the United States right now. And again, being trialed here in Missouri. Oh yeah, I'm for real with it. It's in Missouri. It's being trialed in Michigan. It's being trialed in California. So this thing's about to make some waves. Just wait for it.
We got to take 2Terp to Michigan, bro.
Bro, I've been wanting to do that for a minute.
Michigan.
I was talking to, like, shout out to Terp Wizard. I was talking to him probably like sometime last year about like trying to do like a whole Michigan tour from like I want to say from Kalamazoo, I want to say all the way to Detroit.
Heck yeah, that sounds so cool.
And he was helping me like trying to line up. He was gonna help me get a list of like people together. Like, shout out to you, bro. I gotta hit you back up, and we gotta get some. Yo, for real though, like
2Terp goes to Michigan.
It'd be tough.
2Terp is trying to go all across the country.
So back to the question though.
Yeah.
Second part. Who would be the person you would want to try this genetic?
I would want Chris Lynch of Compound Genetics to try this. I'm currently, working with some of his newer unreleased gear. He's recently parted from Compound, just as an FYI, but he has his own genetics entity in Cypher, and he's the creator of things like apples and bananas, grape gas, all the very notable varieties that you mess with today, the menthol, any of these crosses. All kudos to Chris Lynch for that. Right now I have his Prism OZ. I'm trying to get his Blue Lobster very soon, mess with that. But I would want him to try it and see, like, yo, even without messing with your stuff, I'm for real.
Okay, respect.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Because again, that respect amongst growers is huge. I mean, and there's nothing better than like lifting each other up.
The word.
Yeah.
That's a fact. I definitely fuck with that.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Alright, now, that's a good one to wrap up on.
That's a great note to wrap up on.
Yeah, we ain't gonna get no better than that. Nope. Alright, so
Cap it there.
that's right. Let them know your socials real quick.
That's a bet. Yeah, if you want to follow me on socials, you can look up Southern Roots Genetics on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, anything. You can go to southernrootsgenetics.com to sign up for my free cannabis cultivation newsletter. I also have other courses on there. But yeah, it's Southern Roots Genetics. That's where you can find me.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, let them know, dog.
All right. So this time I got it. Okay. So it's Slumpppd. SLUM. And it's 3 P's, 1 D, and an underscore.
Hey, there you go.
With the precision.
I like that.
Yes, sir.
And y'all already know. Shout out to the homie T Break T, No Socials T, Tyler Farquaad. Make the lady say, "Oh my God!" Can't wait to have you back in the building. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Your AKA coming. Don't you worry. I was the one who came up with the Tyler Farquaad, oh my God thing.
I'm curious to see what you come up with.
Time will tell. Only time will tell.
Oh, yeah. Let it play.
That's right. But y'all already know. Y'all can make sure y'all follow 2Terp on all socials. Make sure you follow us on YouTube. Check out those videos. Once again, shout out to the homie Slump for all the work that he's been putting in. As you can see, we've been having a lot of content come out recently. That's all due to your boy over here. For real.
Slumpppd is for real.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. For real, though, man. I appreciate you, for real. The whole team appreciates you, for real.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Hell yeah. Hey, man. Beautiful things ahead, for real. But, all right. Y'all already know. Let me keep going. All right, make sure y'all hit up that hotline with the voicemails and the text, 314-399-9711. And don't forget to follow me, Donovan2408, on all social media platforms. Yeah. Oh, and if y'all feeling generous, help us get our full-time 2terp / content creation, all the shit that we want to do fun going. Hit up our 2terp Cash App shit. I forgot about that. Yeah, we've been having one of those. Yeah, we want to self-fund ourselves, so shit, help us do that.
Yeah, if you like it, you should definitely be tapping in. Hit up their Cash App.
Yeah.
You gotta support your local creators.
Yeah.
100.
Yeah, we about to figure out another way to do this. Like, I'm trying to get merch together, like, for real. Like, we about to start getting it back together, like, to what it's supposed to be, so we can really start running this on full operation, Yeah, it's time. Yeah. I said my socials, right?
Yeah, you did.
All right, cool. All right, so y'all already know it's been another show. We got another episode for y'all next week, but I want to thank you again for coming on, Tony, bro.
Oh,
it's been fire.
It's been a bless.
You already know, man.
Time.
It's been lit. Definitely gotta have you on again for sure.
Thank you for letting me be here.
Thank
it's
you.
It's been dope.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But, all right, y'all. You already know. We'll see you next week. Peace. Oh. There we go. Yeah.
There you go. That's for you.
It's 2 2 2
Terp.